Going live. Hi, everyone. So we are live. It's 4 o'clock, and we'll be reading from the book Stop Abusing Yourself with Your Past today. We get to dive into chapter 4, which is pretty exciting. We've done chapters 1, 2, and 3. And last week in chapter 3, our practices, it was all about mindfulness in chapter 3. So we were talking about our purpose and talking about, let me remember, how movement and reward are tied together. And so one of our practices was about 5 minutes of movement a day, because scientists discovered that the magic number is 52. So 52 minutes in a 6-month period gives you maximum cognitive retention. It can reverse dementia and all kinds of other cognitive decline issues. So we were introducing the concept of, if you can get 18 minutes a day of movement into your life, you can actually reverse cognitive degeneration. So that's what we were focusing on last week. And so that's kind of the mindfulness practice that we were gearing up for. Today in chapter 4, it's all about gratitude. We've got a couple people with us in the room, and hopefully we'll have a few of you join us on the live. And if not, you can always watch this on YouTube later. So if you could get on your tablet for a minute and just check our audio, because I'd hate to record this and then you can't hear anything I'm saying. Last week we had some audio issues, so before we begin, I just want to take a moment to do that and get all of our technical difficulties out of the way so that we don't have any unforeseen problems. So let's go back into kind of what Stop Abusing Yourself with Your Past is. So it's a comprehensive guide to being human, and it's a philosophical work that brings scientific research from the New Age and spiritual knowledge from centuries ago, kind of tied together. We're bringing all of these concepts together in a unifying element, and it looks like our audio is working. So we're tying these concepts together. That way we can get a comprehensive guide, because we don't come with a manual at birth. Nobody tells you how to be human. And in the world that we live in right now, it can be really challenging sometimes just to get through the day. So every chapter has practices at the very end that you can go through the week and do. You can carry them through the entire course, or you can break them down and do little bits at a time. It's really all about what works best for you and your schedule. Life's a little bit hectic and crazy sometimes, so don't beat yourself up. We're not here to shame anybody. We're not judging. Try to keep the criticism to a minimum. Remember, what you say up here is way more important than even what you say right here. Even what you're speaking, your thoughts really matter. So let's go ahead and dive in. So week 4, Introduction to Gratitude as a Practice. Once we believe in ourselves, we can risk curiosity, wonder, spontaneous delight, or any experience that reveals the human spirit. I am grateful for establishing the I ams. Gratitude is almost a buzzword nowadays, but what does it mean? I ask that a lot. I like to know what things mean. Have you ever done a gratitude practice? What does gratitude mean to you? The first thing to say about this subject is that it's not a New Age concept and it's not religious. Whew. Now that we have that out of the way, I can start to delve into all of the things that it is. Loving what you have right now, regardless of how miserable it may seem, is the core of gratitude. And remember, we do have a chat. So if you want to get in the chat, say hi when you join our stream and introduce yourselves, where you're from. Just make comments and we'll keep talking. Did you know that some of the poorest countries on earth house the most grateful people? Why? This has to do with challenges, struggles, and the process of living. These people know what it takes to keep their lives going daily. Do you know what it takes to keep you moving forward every day? No, I'm not referring to that first cup of coffee in the morning or the first 3 even. I'm talking about the process it takes for you to maintain your daily life. What steps do you have to take to get and prepare food? What process do you have to do to have clean, fresh water to drink? What do you need to do to clothe yourself and have shelter over your head? Some people have got to pay close attention to these aspects of life that most of us, in America in particular, take for granted. We've created so many automations around our daily lived experience that we don't think about these things on a conscious level or in any meaningful way. We have supermarkets where our food comes out of pretty boxes and packages and water on tap. Easy, done. We can get on with our lives being busy, right? But we can't, because we're so busy filling our time with schedules, routines, appointments, work, and emergencies that arise that we've filled up every gap of usable space we have in our heads. Gratitude is not only a mindset, but it's an attitude. It's a lifestyle choice. And it's not just a word or a little thing you can tell people that you do to virtue signal that you're doing good in life. Gratitude's also a practice, just like everything else in this book. We engage in these daily practices consciously to shift our minds out of autopilot and move into a creative, conscious mindset. This can dramatically alter the direction of our projected futures and the greater world around us. When we live in a gratitude attitude, the world around us does change. We no longer focus on the negative media influences that drag our thinking into limited patterns. We expand our consciousness into the realm of potentials and possibilities that are always available to us, waiting for us to get out of our own way long enough to see it. Take those particular lenses off, just for a moment. You'll put them back on automatically anyway, so you can view the world with new eyes and a fresh perspective. You might just see how quickly it begins to work as the world subtly shifts and adjusts to your new attitude. Whatever tragedies and dramas are taking place around you might have less of an effect on your well-being and peace of mind. Even your ideas and thoughts about yourself can shift in a way that gives you permission to do things you had previously considered unacceptable by social standards. Authenticity and gratitude go hand in hand. You see, when you're grateful for all of the ordinary things you have in life, you begin to behave in a different way. Gratitude is the call to action that your soul requires for thriving by feeding you at the roots. I will offer an example so you can see just how powerful and influential this is in your everyday life. Imagine this, if you will. Your children are wild, playing like animals and making lots of noise. This can be a stressful scenario when you have a million other things to focus on. It can feel distracting when you've got to pay the bills and do uncomfortable things. Instead of lashing out with a stress response, go inward and express to your mind how very grateful you feel to hear them laughing and playing instead of being ill or having some other calamity that would silence their voices. Be grateful for their healthy bodies, that they can move freely and enjoy being children instead of being crippled and bedridden, which some are. You can take a few deep breaths and listen deeply to the sounds of their play and remember a time in your own childhood when you were just as vital and strong and new to the world. Sit with that memory for a moment. Allow it to imbue you with all of the positive sensations that you experienced at the time, and be grateful for that too. Then breathe in deeply, open your eyes, if you had them shut, which is an automatic response to remembering, and look at the scene before you without the lenses of stress and discomfort. Remind yourself how very precious these children are to you, and focus only on what you have right now. It will melt the anger and frustration of whatever it is you are trying to accomplish amid what you just perceived as noise, rather than the beautiful ballet of innocence. It is now all in alignment once again, and life is peaceful. You are blessed, truly blessed, to be a parent and have these wild, playful children being authentically themselves. Now you can approach the situation with love. Perhaps you ask your kids to play quietly so you can work with ease. Maybe you offer them a quieter game. Or maybe the noise of their play is no longer an issue or distraction, but a background song to accompany your work with greater purpose. People who practice gratitude naturally, researchers show, have a higher amount of oxytocin in their system, which we talked about in chapter 2, why oxytocin is important. Oxytocin, known as the love hormone, I'm skipping ahead. This suggests that it can be an inherited trait. As we know, oxytocin has positive benefits on our overall health and is called the love hormone for a reason. Another helpful scientific discovery connecting gratitude intervention with patients diagnosed with depression, again in chapter 2, shows that it is beneficial in retraining the mind to overcome negative influences that a depressive state can bring on. It's much easier to practice gratitude when someone has done a service for us or given us a gift. The amount of gratitude felt by the receiver is directly proportional to the effort we believe is exerted by the giver. However, what do you do when nothing perceptible is given? How do we turn that gratitude inward toward ourselves? After all, we are an ecosystem within. We are a living, walking, breathing planet filled with organs, cells, bacteria, and multitudes of other life forms that are dependent on us as a living organism to sustain their lives. Have you ever been grateful for all those trillions of cells? How have you ever been grateful for your feet? Those suckers carry your entire body around all day and do not ask for you a thing in return. What about your liver? Have you ever been grateful for the organ that filters all the grease and medication you take or alcohol you may consume? We have so much to be grateful for inside of our own bodies that we could spend an entire day or longer listing every piece and part individually. Gratitude is a practice, not just a word. Writing down your gratitude has been a proven method that researchers tell us lasts the longest. This does not have to be done daily, but weekly. The practice of writing out our gratitude once a week can have powerful effects on our thinking. Resilience is a benefit that we gain without even trying to attain it. We spoke on resilience earlier and why it's important. Understanding that situations and circumstances are fleeting experiences is the core benefit of a gratitude practice. When we focus on aspects of our lives that we're grateful for, it leaves less room to focus on the thoughts that can have a detrimental impact on our worldview, beliefs, and habits. When gratitude is practiced consistently, it replaces old patterns and creates new positive habits, empowering through doing. We want reasonable thinking to replace negative and neutral thinking that can keep us locked into habits and routines known to have damaging symptoms in ways we don't even realize. So let's look at the definition. Gratitude, it's a noun. 1, the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and or return kindness. Example, she expressed her gratitude to the committee for their support. Ouch, that hurts. Do it again. Do we actively return kindness to ourselves like we do for other people in our lives? Not usually. We're too busy criticizing ourselves for all of our perceived faults. Mental degradation takes place far more than you may realize, and it can be just as dangerous as physical abuse if we allow it to continue. The worst part is that we are our own abusers. No one can see what we're doing, so no one can make us accountable for the bad behavior we're unleashing on our precious selves. This is frightening when you frame it in such a way. We aren't taught about the kinds of abuse that take place from within because it is nearly unrecognizable and harder to prove. There are no perceivable victims because even though people see us struggling, they don't know why or how to help. Our friends and family may be able to soothe us in a moment of struggle, but how do they really help us when we are the core of the problem? I've done research since 2013 about shame, gratitude, resilience, hope, spirituality, abuse, behaviors, disrespect, many facets of mental health, brain researchers in several fields, neuroplasticity, and the list goes on. Abuse in any form should not be tolerated, yet we're trained at an early age to self-shame, criticize, and degrade ourselves, create guilt, and put ourselves down. When are we taught about accountability? You don't believe that could be true? Did you ever have a moment in your childhood when you did something, anything, and instantly began shaming yourself for it mentally? How about as an adult? You wanted that donut. I wanted that donut so badly, but then had nothing but negative things to say to yourself when you decided to eat it? Yeah, raise my hand to that. I'm going to get fat if I keep doing this. I know it's not good for me, but it tastes so good that I don't care. Or how about this one? I can't believe I'm so stupid. That last one hits home for me. Why do we keep reiterating how stupid we are, even though we're not? It's trained behavior based on a series of beliefs we adopted as children. Our childhood has a far greater impact on us than any other generation before us could ever have known. We're learning so much now about those formative years, about how those formative years shape our adult selves and solidify concrete blocks in our thinking that can drown us if we don't take the chisel out and do some forceful chipping at the edges. You know that they're drowning you when a flood comes and you're so rooted in misguided thinking that you sink rather than float. Sinking, as it implies, is the feeling we get when we just can't anymore. We just have nothing stable to keep us going safely along, and we lose it. Bear in mind, too, that some of those concrete blocks in your head are your foundation materials and must be examined to see if they're still in good shape. Are they cracked? Do they need to be replaced or repaired? Is there a leak in your foundation that requires mending? Concrete blocks have utility because they've shaped you. What shape are you? More importantly, what shape are you in? There are 3 stages of gratitude. Recognition. Feeling grateful is the first step, even if it's difficult to learn how to begin. Cultivating feelings of deep gratefulness can start with the smallest recognition. Like I pointed out, how often are you grateful to your body for the miraculous wonders it performs for you every day, every second of every day? Thankfulness is defined as being pleased or relieved, and to be grateful is showing an appreciation or kindness, of kindness. These are not the same, but connected by linking feeling to action. Acknowledgement. Expressing gratitude comes in many forms. A mindfulness practice, which is chapter 3, to realign yourself to what is truly important in life is a vital step in seeing the goodness all around you. There are many people, things, and moments that make our lives better. Paying heed to those aspects and influences by acknowledging their presence goes miles for our mental well-being. We change our optics by choosing what to focus on and allow ourselves to adjust to a new mindset that highlights everything wonderful around us. New lenses, new view. Appreciation. Changing our habitual behaviors by consciously paying attention to our blessings sends ripples out into the entire world of our dedication to feeling good. We are not going to feel good about everything going on all the time, and we wouldn't want to. But this new mindset and behavioral pattern can help us through those challenging times with the resilience we need to move through it with a powerful inner strength. Religions speak about the power of prayer. Affirming your appreciation outwardly and inwardly can indeed be a form of prayer for some. But even without religious connotations, we can reap the benefits of a more appreciative mental attitude by paying the proper amount of attention. 6 gratitude examples that you can practice. Be grateful for things you hate. And of course, that's at the top of the list. This seems highly contradictory, but how many lessons have you learned in life due to something you hated? I bet more than a few. There are valuable lessons to be gained from experiences, people, and situations that make us angry and hateful. Those emotions are there to keep you on track, uphold boundaries, and look hard at uncomfortable parts of ourselves. They can even challenge our belief structures, which is not as bad as it seems. Some of our more difficult emotions come out of challenging situations. Contemplate that for a while. Start a gratitude journal. I mentioned this earlier. A once-a-week gratitude practice in a journal helps you track your progression as you rewrite your brain and the beliefs that exist within you. Make it a fun challenge by finding different gratitude triggers each time you write, rather than repeating yourself every week with the same lines. A trigger can be something that makes you feel lighter rather than heavier, expansive as opposed to contractive. And one of the new buzzwords I've learned recently, I think they're calling it a glimmer rather than a trigger, but we'll see. That's just something I heard online. Count your blessings. Ah, back to the noisy children again. Are those losses you have perceived actually blessings in disguise? Are the hardships you've faced? Are the hardships you've faced traumas or character building experiences? We face many challenges in life, and yet we continue to wake up every single day and survive everything we go through, no matter how tragic and painful it might feel in the moment. Your survival rate is 100% so far. That's a huge blessing in my mind and worth a timely reminder. Say more thank yous. This might feel like a redundant or useless practice at first, but it really helps you pinpoint some of the services that are being offered to you in places you have not recognized until now. The worker in the store stocking shelves, randomly thank them for their effort. They're working for you. Your legs. Yes, you read that right. Thank your legs for moving you forward and the muscles it takes to do that. The ligaments that makes your knees bend and the bones that hold the whole structure of you together. Thank your legs. They work hard for you and you would miss them if they were to suddenly disappear or be rendered useless. I would. Watch and read things that motivate you. In our technological age, we have motivation on tap at our fingertips, anywhere, anytime. You can get audiobooks, motivational speeches, documentaries, TED Talks, and other lectures on topics you're currently interested in. What are you doing to stimulate new processes in your brain? Don't watch something familiar just because you know about it. Actively search out new information. This practice will keep your brain young and engaged and might just lead you down a rabbit hole of potential that was buried deep in your subconscious, just screaming to get out. Motivation and momentum are not the same thing. Motivation is what gets us fired up about something. Momentum is what keeps you there. You need both. Express gratitude in challenging moments. Have you had to have a difficult conversation with your partner because they had to bring up something that bothered them? Did it trigger a negative reaction in you? Or maybe your boss said something that made you angry and you stewed over it for hours. You can silently express your gratitude toward a person you're interacting with while they're talking. Remember to pay attention to what they're saying too, but in your mind, you can begin to say things like, I love the way, insert the person's name there. I love the way Danielle's lips move when she speaks. I'm so grateful they feel comfortable talking to me, even about hard things. Um, let's see. William is really a great listener. I'm so grateful for that. By offering the silent gratitude practice towards another person in what might have been a difficult emotional moment for both of you, you're activating the hydroelectric properties within us all. Water and electricity course through our veins and through our thoughts, and our thoughts are wavelength. This dynamic makes it possible for us to think things about people in ways that they feel are grateful thoughts within themselves. They may become uncomfortable and get quiet. They might begin fidgeting. They will perhaps visibly calm down. The reaction is based on their purpose for speaking with you, like we mentioned earlier. Are they trying to persuade you, create a solution? Perhaps they just want to argue. Try it. The results might surprise you. Gratitude practice helps people acknowledge the goodness in their lives. People can feel higher levels of positive emotions overall, find more joy in ordinary experiences, improve health on a broad scale spectrum, deal with adverse situations with greater resilience, and build stronger relationships. What does a lack of gratitude look like? The Cambridge Dictionary defines gratitude as a strong feeling of appreciation to someone or something for what the person has done to help you. Without a gratitude attitude, we limit ourselves to the amount of love we are willing to receive and give. Everyone wants to feel loved. Our roots grow stronger and gratitude. Let me go back. Everyone wants to feel love, and gratitude is the fertilizer that makes our leaves a bit greener. Our roots grow stronger and deeper and helps us reach for the sun and praise all the wonders around us. Plants do not necessarily feel or express gratitude for existing. They too have ecosystems living within themselves, just like we do. Endophytes are tiny plants and fungi that live inside of other plants. They have their own chemical needs and can influence the plant to change their makeup to get what they need to survive. Why do I bring this up? What could that have to do with us as people? You are a living organism. You have living organisms inside of you that are driven by chemical processes. You are a thermodynamic being. When you feed a feeling by expressing it, craving by eating it, and develop habits, you are feeding something inside of you. One group of organisms are cheering for your vitality and success by encouraging you through a series of chemical processes that elicit feelings of calm, strength, health, and vitality. Another group of organisms feed a cycle of decomposition, taking for themselves what they need to survive while leaving you feeling depleted, uncomfortable, unsatisfied, and unhealthy. You know the parable of the two wolves living inside of you, right? Whichever one you feed is the one who will grow stronger. You've got to be mindful of which one you're feeding, because if you're making a choice unconsciously, chances are the decompetition team of organisms are in control. Your health may deteriorate dramatically, and often it is not a quick descent, but a long, hard road of health issues, mental gymnastics, discordant relationships, and all forms of chaos inside and outside your body. Lacking gratitude feeds the decomposition organisms and stimulates chemical distribution centers in the brain that elicit feelings of stress, worry, fear, anxiety, and many other negatively associated feelings. Expressing gratitude feeds the organisms that help you thrive. The act of feeling grateful floods your body with oxytocin, which science has proven helps us feel calmer, happier, and in a loving space. Your body responds by having more energy and carries you through the world with a sense of order in your daily lived experience. Even if you're going through immense pain, oxytocin reduces the pain response, giving you a higher tolerance for adversity. The cooperative organisms in your body, aka the regeneration organisms, go to work repairing all the places we've stopped paying attention to. What happens if they can't do their jobs? They begin to rot, and so do you. I know that sounds gross, but that's all aging is anyway, a natural process of decomposition. We can prolong and extend this cycle, of course. It's obviously not just gratitude that will get you back into this cycle of repair. There are many factors and aspects of life that need to be addressed. What I'm saying is that gratitude practice can get the process started in a powerful way, leading to many other practices and opportunities to help your body function at its optimum level. It can build the momentum you need so you can get through something painful, recover quicker, and feel at ease while it runs its course. It sounds like science fiction, but it's really just science. Let's get back to plants. Have you noticed how some houseplants in the winter will look dull, a bit droopy and pale in color? I have a lot of them that I pay close attention to, so I notice these subtle changes in their appearance as the seasons change. I give them more fertilizer during the winter months because they need the pick-me-up. A nearly fluorescent glow begins to emanate from them, and they perk up with incredible vitality. Gratitude is fertilizer for people. You won't need it all the time once you learn how to use it. When you're happy and in an environment that supports you, you will naturally thrive. When times are harder, you may need a boost to get you through until the next sunny times. The trick is in knowing when those moments are by paying attention to your rhythms and cycles and understanding at which times are harder or more stressful for you. Hi, Piggy. That's Gatsby, our guinea pig. She's saying hi in the background. And I've lost my spot. The trick is in knowing when those moments are, by paying attention to your rhythms and cycles and understanding at which times are harder or more stressful for you, when you'll need a dose of gratitude fertilizer to ride out a storm in grace. A personal story. In 2021, as I was learning about gratitude on a whole new level and how to use my language in better ways, I discovered by accident that I could tap into gratitude during the most complicated moments of my life. Instead of instead of speaking, which has always been my default mode when something isn't working, I sat silently with myself. My partner and I were fighting for about 2 days and not coming to any logical solutions that would move us both forward. During the middle of the second day, we were both emotionally spent, and our minds were racing. I wanted to say more, to get to the bottom of the issue, talk it out. I was taught as a kid that we need to talk until the solution or closure was found. That wasn't working anymore. We couldn't connect with one another in a meaningful way, so I went inward. We were sitting together on our bed, both in our heads over the entire mess we were in. I decided to try out a gratitude practice I hadn't fully conceptualized yet. I laid back on the bed, took several deep breaths, and began thinking of all the reasons I love my partner. I visualized his smile, his toes, his leathery hands, and with each visualization, I made sure to say, I am so grateful for, each item I noted. This was my lead in. The gratitude evolved into a deeper language. I am grateful that I can appreciate the little aspects of my partner. I'm grateful that we met. I am so very grateful for this current challenge we're going through, that our souls have aligned in this moment to shed light on all the places I still resist my highest self, that the light within each of us knows the way forward, that our highest selves will not come down to the petty level we've chosen to engage in, that our love resides at the foundation of everything we do, which radiates through this current struggle, and so on. As this gratitude began to develop, he placed a hand on my leg. He hadn't touched me in over a day and could hardly look in my direction. This was not a coincidence. We never finished the conversation that created that argument. I laid there on our bed for 1.5 hours, silently chanting my gratitude into the universal vibration, allowing it to imbue every inch of my being. We didn't need to discuss it further. It didn't matter what the problem had been. I had vibrationally interrupted the frequency that was keeping us locked into a low-level function where conflict lives. After the meditation, I sat up and kissed his cheek. He did not immediately come out of the haze that our argument created, but was receptive to my cue of affection, and for the rest of the day we spoke kindly to one another, and sparsely. We were no longer emotionally volatile, and we slowly came back to the divine love that our relationship is built on. Energy transference took place, and he physically felt all the gratitude that I was silently sending into our energy field. I spent another 1.5 hours later that evening doing this practice again. By that point, we were lying together, my head on his chest, quietly being with ourselves. I lifted my awareness to focusing on the divine aspects that were connecting us, as though we were one being, as though I was breathing with his lungs, feeling the sensations on his skin, and our flesh was singular. When I delved into this deep meditation that melded us together, he squeezed me a little bit and sighed. I must point out here that he was unaware that I was doing this, and I didn't tell him that I had done this meditation until many months later. I've used this method to realign our collective energies when we have a disagreement. It doesn't stop us from talking to one another. What it does for me is to let me respond in ways that elicit a love reaction rather than that of fear. It also flooded his energy field with love rather than distress. It interrupted the dis-ease we were both feeling so we could remember what was important. It helps me communicate better too, because I can focus on the real energy underlying the experience. Even though it can still be uncomfortable, the pain is lessened by using this practice, and our dialogue is truer to the love that we both want to express. From a scientific standpoint, I can see that I was flooding my body with oxytocin by focusing on the love. This lessened the pain I was experiencing, which made it possible for my rational and logical thinking to come through so that whatever conversation was necessary to have was done in grace rather than reactivity. So we'll get to the practices in a minute. That was the chapter. And if you have any thoughts on gratitude, it seems like there's a couple people here with us, but even for those who watch this later, leave it a comment. Like, is there anything that you've done in your life that feels contradictory, to the situation? Like, the example I just gave, we were just fighting, and we wanted to come to a solution. We wanted to figure out how we could reconnect with one another. And all the methods that we were taught to do that were failing us. And so instead of doing what we knew, I stepped out of my comfort zone, and I'm like, okay, well, I have this idea in my head about a thing and it might work. And since we're already not talking, I'm going to go in and do this meditation. Is there anything in your life that you've tried when you've had a really hard time and it wasn't necessarily taught to you, but it was intuitive that you did and it worked? And if so, what was it? Go ahead and leave those in the comments. And anything else that you might want to share about gratitude in general. Have you had a gratitude journal before? Is that something that, a practice that you've used that helped you? And if not, what went wrong? Because I've heard people say that they've tried a gratitude journal, they couldn't stick with the practice, and it just didn't resonate with them. And the way that we're getting ready to talk about doing a gratitude journal might give you some tips and see if that's something that might resonate instead. So our practices are titled Fertilization, Introduction to Gratitude as a Practice. Gratitude journal practice begins. List 5 things every single day this week. We're setting the groundwork for a practice of gratitude that you will be able to continue once a week as it becomes a new habit. This daily practice will get you into the mindset of when you will need to use it in the future. So be sure to make this practice a priority this week. You can do it in the morning or at night, whichever fits into your schedule best. Art it up. Make this practice your own by adding pictures if you have them. You don't have to just list your gratitude. You can make it however colorful and creative you want to. Perhaps you find a lot of fun images that represent a meaningful part of your life. Paste them in, and then label them with gratitude tags. Now, when I went through the gifts of imperfection, we didn't do a gratitude practice, but there was a moment in there when we were listing some of our favorite things. And I'm going to show you this page just because I did just that. I found pictures of some of my favorite people and my bed, people I love. See? People I love. My son when he was very young, and my grandma through marriage. And then I've got my mom down here and my daughter. And they were just eating and we were visiting together. We made really wonderful food together. So I love it when we cook together, and I'm super grateful that we can do that. And I'm really a homebody, so I'm like really happy that I have this great bed. And then I had this other picture, so I pasted it in front because my son, when he's Batman, he was just the coolest kid as Batman. When he was little, he would always wear all these different costumes throughout the year, and so I'm super grateful for him as well. And I ran out of space, so I just pasted him right up there on top. And then my daughter has this amazing level of creativity. Let me see. Right here. She's just sitting there reading, totally engrossed in what she was doing. So I drew this thought bubble above her head, imagining all of the places she was going as she was reading these fairy tales. And I'm so grateful that that's something that she loves to do, because I love watching her in these moments when she's completely engrossed in something she loves. She's 20 now, so that was a long time ago. But that gives you an example of ways that you can make this really fun. You don't have to write a list. It's not like these boring journal entries where you're just doing it out of rote. Change it up a little. Try something different. So the next practice is creating a micro ritual with 5 minutes of gratitude thinking every morning when you first wake up and every night before you go to bed. Just thinking to yourself about anything you're grateful for. This can help begin and end your day with fertilizer for your mind. This practice is easy to do because it's all internal. It requires no tools, no journaling, no external devices. You can continue this practice every day so your mind can learn how to focus on all the things going well in your life. This practice aligns your head and your heart to the intuitive thoughts that reside in the unseen. It's worthy of your attention. And like I pointed out in the book, when you're laying there in bed, there's so many things to be grateful for. Like, you got a great pillow. I'm grateful that I can stretch out. I'm grateful that I'm not working right now. I'm grateful to be able to close my eyes and rest. I'm grateful to breathe really deeply. And 5 minutes can go by really quickly. And there's been times that I've just had so many little gratitude things kicking in my head that I'll just fall asleep. Like, it's really a simple thing to do, and it sets the stage for the next morning. And when you wake up that way, it gives you a moment to get in your body, and it helps align with what kind of day you're going to have. So you've already ended the day on a high note, and then you get to start the day on a high note again. So can you see how that sets you up for a better pattern of living? Sometimes when I was a fairly new mom with 2 kids, I didn't feel like I had time. Everything was very rushed. Everything was moving very quickly. I had to make sure they were fed and that they were taken care of and happy. And oh my gosh, who has a crappy diaper today? And the moments of calm were very far and few between. I didn't have this practice at the time. I didn't understand how to use it. And so now, when everything starts to ramp up and get busy, I immediately start slowing my mind. If my external environment becomes so ramped up and out of control and begins to devolve into chaos energy, I go inside, I take a few deep breaths, and I give thanks, and I am grateful for the chaos, for signaling this moment that I can focus on all of the things that I love and appreciate and am grateful for. And then it's not quite as intense. I can figure out how to manage it from a logical state of mind instead of reacting and becoming emotionally volatile. So here's an optional practice for this chapter. Make a reminder poster if you feel inspired to do so. Some people are more artistic and have more time than others. This poster should be simple, but gives you a visual cue to keep you on track with your new habit-building practices. It could be a reminder for a once-a-week moment of gratitude, your movement exercise that we talked about in Chapter 3, your stream of consciousness writing that we discussed in Chapter 1, or anything that you need help remembering so that you prioritize it daily. They talk about vision boards, and they're just a really simple collage. You can write on them, put images on them, and having that visual in your space that you walk by every day. Make sure it's a place that you walk by because you want to see it. You need that reminder, and make it things that you really want to remember. Keep it really simple. Just put 3 things on it just to start. Don't overwhelm yourself. I've done this a few times, and I was really glad that I did. I have a small sign right next to my desk on my cork board that carries all my important documents and things that I have to remember. And it says, I am loved, loving, and lovable. And why do I need that reminder? Because I struggle with worthiness still to this day. Not nearly to the degree that I ever used to. but I am loved, loving, and lovable. I can see it from my bed. I can see it when I'm working. I can see it from the doorway as soon as I walk into the room. And so having that visual representation there of something that's been a deep-seated issue my entire life just gives me that little click in. It interrupts those processes, the gremlins that start kicking when they start talking, all those lies. And I can look at that and go, oh yeah, that's right. Everything's fine. So thank you for joining us today. If this is something that you're interested in continuing, please share in the comments, whether you watch this video live, whether you see it later. If you enjoy this content and want to see more of it, we want to do further chapters. So we're only in chapter 4. There are 13 chapters in this book. So we have the potential for doing many more videos, but I need your feedback because that's the thing that's going to really get the momentum going for this. Like, I could be motivated to make the video, but you're the momentum that keeps this going. So leave your comments. Have a blessed day and practice gratitude. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us.